Morning, Alf. How are you? Hang out with MJ while I'm talking. You're probably reading the title of this video and thinking that I'm going to talk about a top-down approach. The Paul Skeens 1 of 1 just sold for $1.1 million. And that is the sort of thing that is driving our sports card market right now. Well, you might be shocked that it is the complete opposite. Before I dive in, we've got a couple of housekeeping notes. So Brian Gray, the owner of Leaf, the ex-owner of Leaf, he put out a challenge to those of us that are not huge fans of repacks, and we have taken that challenge. And Brian Gray will join us on Off-Centered on Wednesday evening. Of course, Brian talks about how at Leaf they pretty much invented the repack going back to 2010. Now, many could argue that there's mystery boxes going back to the 80s, but I think in the sense of what we see today as a repack, he's saying that Leaf started that in 2010. So we are going to debate that. We are having Brian Gray on to argue with us on Wednesday night Off-Center. That'll be at 9 p.m. Eastern, so make sure you do not miss that show. More controversy this week. I'm trying to schedule a pre-recorded call with me and John Mangini. We are going to debate on a few different hobby topics, including other YouTubers. Are you listening to this? Why do the pre-2020 YouTubers hate the 2020 and newer YouTubers, sports card YouTubers? We're going to talk about that among a bunch of other subjects. So that'll be a fun episode. Hopefully that'll be this week. It might have to get pushed to next week. This week is an absolute beast for me, but we will see. We'll make it happen one way or the other here coming up soon. Huge thanks to today's video sponsor, Pristine Auction. Friends, if you haven't won an auction over there, then you're missing out on $25 off. $25 off with the SCD code for your first auction victory over at Pristine. They've got all the things. They've got sports cards, non-sports. They've got sports memorabilia. I got my youngest assigned Bo Jackson helmet, full-size Bo Jackson helmet, because he plays Bo Jackson in the Raiders on Tecmo Bowl, and he was like, Dad, this is insane. So I was excited to get that over for him.
That's no fair. Bo Jackson's too fast.
Guys, do we want Cleveland back or don't? Oh, here we go.
See, Peter, he's too fast.
You gotta tackle me. It's B. You gotta press B.
I'm pressing B. He's too fast.
Going over here? Going over here now? Never get tired. Change your guy, Quagmire. Change your guy.
I'm trying. Peter's cheating. You're cheating, Peter.
I'm not cheating. I'm following the rules. I'm just really good.
You're not really good. You just got Bo Jackson.
Bo Jackson also played professional baseball.
Shut up, Joe. Everybody knows that.
I was excited to get that for him at Pristine. They also have a consignment deal. If you mention Sports Card Dad and you want to consign with Pristine, you get a special deal. Also, tell a friend. If you or your friends have never subbed with PSA, take $25 off your first order. SCD25 code at the shipping and billing screen will take $25 off that first submission. We have people taking advantage of this every single week. Just some money off. Hey, grading is not cheap, and it's probably not getting any cheaper. Make sure to take advantage. Also, Hakes Auctions. I had Alex Winter on here going back a couple weeks ago talking about this March Hakes Auction, big auction. It's ending tonight and tomorrow night, so make sure to check this out. There's always diamonds in the rough, hidden gems over there at the Hakes Auctions. Take advantage. All right, so like I said, you're probably thinking this is a top-down approach as to why our sports card hobby, our sports card market is absolutely booming right now. But the real truth is, it's the other way around. The strength in this market is because the low to mid-end sales and resales continue to boom. We've talked about Burbank Sports Cards. They're building their new store, and Rob mentioned that he is going to have a whole section of the store, a pretty decent sized space, that is dedicated to the 25-cent to $1 cards that he is going to rotate in and out. Think about the millions, the tens of millions of cards in the warehouse. So you're probably thinking, like, how will they keep that stocked all the time? They have the inventory. They're always taking in collections and new inventory. And so that's going to be an interesting way for people to buy. Again, at all price points, you'll be able to go in and find your favorite player. Reel that he did on IG, Jason Tatum cards for $1. This gives the ability for young people and people of all different income brackets to be able to buy into trading cards, fill out a binder. I'm all about binders and trading cards. And that's just the 80s and 90s kid in me. If you put these cards in a binder, I've flashed this card before. This is a perfect example of a card that I love from my childhood. 89 Hoops, David Robinson. That was a huge card at the 1990, 1991 card shows, let me tell you. But put these cards in a binder and you can very easily view them. They also have binders that hold top loaders. So if you don't necessarily want to just put the card in a penny sleeve or something in there, they've got top loader binders as well. They've got all sorts of different options for you on the supply side. But I think that this really opens doors. It makes it available. In a world where new product is very expensive across the board, It's nice that the singles market does offer you all price points, all price points. All you have to do is just wait. If you don't have $1,000, $500 for a hobby box, that's okay. Just wait a few weeks, couple weeks after release. All that stuff is going to hit eBay, or it's going to be at Burbank Sports Cards, your local sports card store, wherever. Also, shout out to Andy. He shared this with me on Twitter, and this is one of many, many companies that are buying slabs, mainly PSA slabs, but not only PSA slabs, in the $50 to $500 range. He shared a Slab Factory with me. Slab Factory on Twitter, basically announcing they're buying. But if you go to a card show, everybody's always buying. They can't keep enough inventory there. So Slab Factory put out that they'll buy $50 to $500 slabs, preferably PSA, and then also raw ungraded case hits, that you might get. And some companies do this to be used for repacks. Others do it for stack sales. And I believe that's what Slab Factory does, stack sales, where they're selling kind of in bulk slabs. And you can get a deal if you buy more of the stack and that sort of a thing. Cards HQ over there in Georgia, Jeff Wilson's store. A lot of times, if you look at their cases, they're selling all the time. They struggle to keep inventory. They have to go to shows to buy inventory. They're just like a lot of these other companies where they're set up with a buying station, trying to buy at 60, 70, 80, 90% or whatever it takes to get that inventory back into the store so that they don't have bare shelves. I just think, look, again, just being where I'm at, I know a lot of hobbyists can relate to this, the liquidity in this market at all levels. So yes, you do have high-end sales. You do have people that are spending big on high-end cards. And that's a lot of the stuff that makes the news. However, there are people that are spending a lot of money just on more of the lower to mid-end bulk stuff and enjoying that just the same. It's the liquidity for cards that is really making it all go. Card shops being able to buy back cards, as you get them out of a box, they're able to buy them from you. If you're doing breaks, you're able to quickly sell those cards. There's all sorts of liquidity like we have never seen before. Guys, in 1990, if I opened packs of cards, if I was sitting there and I was opening, let's just say it was 89 Upper Deck packs in a card store, and I went through 3 or 4 packs and I pulled a Ken Griffey Jr. card. In many cases, they're going to give me some sort of a store credit. They're going to offer me more packs. There was not any sort of internet to be able to go out and get liquidity. You couldn't grade the card, really. A PSA was founded in 1990 or 91, so that was just right at the point as they were getting going. It took, and by the way, it took PSA a solid decade to gain traction. I remember an interview where Joe Orlando, the guy that used to run PSA, he said in their first 10 years, they graded about 1 million cards total. 1 million cards in total from 1990, 91 up to 2000. And that's not too shabby. That's still quite a bit of cards. It's 1 million cards, but that's not even what they do in a month now. That's not even what they do in like 3/4 of a month. They're doing almost 1.5 million cards every month now. And they did 1 million cards in 10 years from 1990 to 2000. So that's another thing I think that we need to think about with third-party authentication and grading that it's brought to the table is the fact that as you grade a card, it becomes more liquid. You're able to spend that money to get it in that slab. And because it is in that slab, whether it's a $30 card, an $80 card, a $500,000 card, it gives you more options when trying to trade in, sell, and move those cards around. The hobby is built on buying, selling, trading. That's just the way that it's always been. And we're now in a world where it is very easy to do so in a variety of different ways. Live selling is something that's picked up over the last few years. I'm excited that Rick Probstein's going to have Bid coming out soon. Looking forward to seeing what that's going to look like. Here's another example that a viewer gave me that I thought was just kind of eye-opening when you think about, what sorts of plays can you make in the sports card market right now? What this guy does that he shared is when a new product comes out, there's typically inserts or certain parallels that are of star players, so players that are already established, that are $5, $10, maybe $15. He grades those out in bulk, kind of gets as many of those as he can from that new product, and maybe he grades out 20 or 30 cards at a time. And the PSA 10s of those cards, he might buy it at 5, 10, 15, grades it for 15 or 20 bucks. So maybe he's in for 40 bucks or so. And then he's looking to sell it at 65, 70, $80 to kind of double up and doing that in volume. And there's occasions too where that PSA 10, maybe it goes for 100, maybe it goes for 150. But then again, you're going to get some 9s in there as well. And maybe you break even or you lose a few bucks on the 9s. But essentially his strategy was just say, hey, if I do this in volume, I come out ahead typically for those new products coming out. I'll get so many 10s, and those 10s will kind of pay for that order and hoping to kind of break even on the 9s. But this is an example of lower end cards that are being graded out $5, $10, $20, but there are collectors out there for those cards. Maybe it's a cool Giannis insert, from brand new Prism or something. And it's a $10 card because it's, 7th year Giannis or whatever, insert card. But it's a cool design and everything, but it's in a PSA 10 holder, and a collector just wants to have a cool Giannis card, and they'll buy it for $60, $70, $80, and this guy does that in volume. And so don't let social media fool you with all of the high-end sales. Those are great, don't get me wrong, and those are exciting cards, and I think that those are certainly necessary to just kind of show what's possible and what's happening in the market. But as we saw with Dick's Sporting Goods buying a card, if companies start fighting each other to buy these cards, if Dick's is competing with Nike, who's also competing with high-end collectors, those cards are going to be outliers compared to the rest of the hobby. If we only had those sorts of things happening, but the lower to mid-end was like nobody wanted it and nobody was paying for it and nobody was putting it in collections, we would be in trouble. But it is the fact that the low to mid-end continues to churn around and people are enjoying, whether it's flipping those cards or whether it's collecting those cards. It gives the opportunity, especially for the youth, for the young people, to be able to collect cards and not spend a fortune on a new hobby box if they don't necessarily have that, or feeling like they need to buy a $1,000 slab. They can go in and get in at different price points and try to level up their collection like we all are doing. All right, my friends, that's all I've got today. Stay healthy, stay awesome, and I will talk to you again later.